Okay, guys, this is Health Nibble number 114, and it's a testimonial. And I know everybody loves testimonials because whenever we hear these stories of patients or we do these Facebook Lives, they get the most views. So this is a really cool case. I mean, we have lots of people on our functional medicine side, but sometimes it's hard for us to get people to want to tell their story. And so Martha, she just came in for an adjustment today. And she went through our lowest level program and just had fantastic results. So let me explain that to you. We can take on any level of case, and we have different levels of programs to take on these cases. So if we have somebody that has 3 different forms of autoimmunity and chronic fatigue, they're not going to do the turnkey program that Martha did. So, but on the lowest level program, it's really an amazing detoxification program. It involves chelation, so a heavy metal detox. And if I have that, so around the office, this is, and it might be reading backwards. I don't know if this camera does that or not. But when you're toxic, you can have weight loss resistance, sleep and anxiety issues, low energy, chronic pain, brain fog, which brain fog in your 40s, like when you start forgetting names and stuff, that's a huge indicator of dementia later on, which we know is really heavily tied to heavy metals. So I just wanted, Martha's been a patient here on the Cairo side for, 15 years, maybe more. Has had a history of breast cancer in the 90s before I knew her. And really, you can talk about the chronic pain. I mean, a lot of people do great with just maintenance adjustments, getting rid of pain, and you didn't really. I mean, and she put her time in. So go ahead and tell.
Well, it's been about probably 3 years ago, maybe, and I was coming twice a month and getting body massages twice a month. And I came in and told Dr. Nagel finally, I just said, it is not working, and I feel terrible every day, and I need to do something different. He'd been talking to me about change of diet, and I was resistant of that. And then he talked to me about my metals in my mouth, and I had a lot of heavy metal.
So a lot of amalgams. So
amalgams, yeah.
Amalgams are half mercury. So anytime you have the metal fillings in your mouth, when we approach things on the functional medicine side, we look at it as a toxic bucket. And it can be plastics. This is a huge one. This is a huge toxic bucket. Sugar is a huge one. Trans fats, so eating foods with vegetable oils and things like that. So they're all important.
Yeah.
It's
so
not
I made
one
a big change in November and decided to meet with Aaron and do the detox program. And in a month, I'd lost weight. I felt better. I was sleeping better. My joints weren't hurting. My back wasn't hurting as much. And I just feel better when I get up out of bed in the morning. So, and I changed my diet, and we went off sugar and off gluten, and it's been a huge change.
Yeah.
And if you don't make a change, nothing changes. And so I was at that point where I was like, the medication I'm on isn't doing what they said it's going to do.
Can you tell them about that? What you got?
Yeah, I was on meloxicam, which was supposed to be for inflammation in my body and for joint pain, and I couldn't really tell any difference. And I'd been on that for about 3 years, and I decided to go off of that here just this week, actually, last week. And I was on Avista, which my doctor had put me on for prevention of osteoporosis, and I decided I didn't need that preventative because I feel pretty strong and I don't have history of osteoporosis, or my family or anything.
Yeah, this is a great example of trying to use pharmaceuticals in this wellness prevention model, and it just doesn't make sense. The best way you can increase bone mass is exercise, weight-bearing exercise. And so if you're active and lifting and exercising, your bones aren't just going to snap in half if you're 90 years old. It's Wolf's Law. They're going to stay strong. You don't need a drug for that.
Yeah, so I decided to go off of that. And I had breast reconstruction 3 years ago, or 4 this year. And I had this big scar on the back, and it was painful every day. I thought, after the first year it'd feel better. And then I thought, well, after the second year it'll feel better, but it didn't feel better until now. And I don't know, it's the combination of everything that I've done that's made a difference. So
yeah, it's that chronic inflammation. And, you know, to think that, you know, meloxicam, or like if you're taking ibuprofen, they're anti-inflammatories. It's not the same. That's not that type of inflammation. When we're talking about, you know, if you complete the phrase, inflammation is at the root of every chronic disease, including cancer, chronic pain. You know, that's the inflammation she's bringing down by detoxing, getting those out of her safely.
yeah,
You went down
I
to
went to Dr. Kreider.
Dr. Kreider.
In Fort
Sent her
Wayne.
tons of people.
Yeah, she's great,
Yeah.
and I got all new fillings, and I had 6 of them.
Mhm.
And she was really good because I don't like dentists, and she did a great job.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad.
And I've told you that's a big part of it. I mean, that's a big part of that when we look at that toxic bucket. And for some reason, you know, some people can have fillings and they don't express at an early age problems, but you know, you take them out, you have a huge difference. Stephanie, to completely, it took getting her, Stephanie that works for us, it took her getting her fillings out to completely resolve her food intolerance issues. So, you know, and that's not the only part, right? She had to detox and change her diet and intermittent fast and you know, all these other things, but that's one of the components, right?
Yeah.
So remove the source.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else that?
No, I'm just really glad that I made this choice.
Yeah.
Because it's a decision you have to make, and you come to it, and then it's
No
really
worries.
good. Yeah.
So I think the hard part is that it's so intangible. So, you know, when people, they don't feel, they get an adjustment and feel different immediately, right? And oftentimes long term, but you had chronic inflammatory problems, so the results weren't as good for Martha. But you take a pill and you feel the results immediately, typically. This idea of slow toxicity from, you know, all of the things in our environment. You know, if you know, skip sugar one meal, you don't feel amazing. It's over time you start bringing those inflammatory levels down, and then the good thing is, though, once you get there, you know, when you go out and you eat a greasy pizza, you feel hungover the next day, like you feel brain fog, you feel terrible, your guts hurt. So once you get there, you feel joint pain.
Yeah.
Once you get there, you don't want to go back. So anyway, thank you, Martha, for talking about this, a testimonial, and we'll see you for the next Help Nibble.
Okay, got it.